All right, folks, welcome back. And Shannon Watts is once again lying and pushing her wild fantasies and conspiracy theories to demand that law abiding citizens be disarmed fully so that in her fantasy world everyone will be safe. In reality, crime will go through the roof. Her latest that she's tweeted out is a story from Yahoo about how kids in rural areas are carrying handguns as young as 11. Well, first lie. They're not carrying handguns as young as 11. They might be introduced to them. They might have one that they are allowed to practice with under supervision. They might actually have to use it to fend off a coyote or skunk or other varmint because they are in rural areas. I grew up in a very rural area in Dallas-Fort Worth, and this is in the mid to late 80s. I can tell you at 10, 11 years old, I knew from a very early age that my father had a pistol and a shotgun, and I wanted to learn to use them. And my dad waited until I was about 10 or 11 and then started instructing me. Rule number one, I didn't touch those things unless he was there. One, they were his, not mine. And two, they're very powerful and can be dangerous if used improperly. They're dangerous to whatever you aim at, be it a target, an animal, or anything else. Number two, treat every handgun as if it is loaded. I don't care if it's in 42 pieces on your desk. You never think of a handgun, a pistol, or a rifle as safe, as unloaded. You treat it with the respect a tool of that power is. Number three, never point at anything you don't intend to shoot. Number four, finger off the trigger. Number five, do not touch these things when he is not around. You'll notice the first and the last are very important because they're the same. Now, I was not carrying a handgun. I was instructed by a man who is very, very competent with them how to properly use them. My father did have to use his .22 rifle to kill a snake in the house. He did use his shotgun to kill a bobcat, actually when we lived in town, that had gotten into our backyard. He did use his pistol on a coyote to scare it off and on a skunk. You'll notice that aside from target shooting when he was instructing me, these are all defensive uses. Now, when I was 18, I bought my first shotgun. This was the first time I could go to the range on my own because I owned the shotgun. I did not use it other than at the range, except for one time when coyotes got onto the land and were going after my horses. I didn't even shoot the coyotes. I peppered the ground in front of them and they ran. This is the biggest part of owning a firearm is respecting it. And this is also one of the biggest lies that Shannon continues to spread, is that gun owners are inherently evil, insane, and will shoot anyone they want at any time they want. And it's a lie. Criminals are like that, and criminals don't care what the law says. It's very simple. A firearm is a tool. A car is a tool. A hammer is a tool. A baseball bat is a tool. A knife is a tool. Any of them can be used for something that they're not intended for. And any of them can cause great injury or death. In fact, we've seen multiple stories how the statistics about assault weapon bans and other gun control measures fail utterly to prevent crime. Very recently, with the push in Virginia to ban certain types of weapons in what most people know is an early step to banning all firearms from legal owners. Thankfully, that failed, but we know that the assault weapons ban that was allowed to expire, not under Donald Trump, by the way, did nothing to reduce crime. Because criminals aren't using AR-15s except in infinitesimal cases. They're using pistols. They're using fully automatics in some cities that are already illegal to own unless you have expensive licenses. But they don't care about this. They focus on the supposed shooter or the supposed use of an AR-15 by the shooter at Sandy Hook, although I've seen several stories that say the AR-15 was found in the vehicle. Then they look at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. Then they look at Sutherland Springs. Now, these are three examples of mass shootings that are all horrific events, all perpetrated by criminals, either just very angry, ignorant people or mentally ill people. In all cases, the firearms were obtained illegally. In Sandy Hook, and in Florida, they were stolen from their owners. The Sutherland Springs shooter should have been a prohibited possessor had the military reported his dishonorable discharge, which in the state of Texas would have made him one. So he should not have been able to purchase that weapon. It was not a failure of the background check system. It was not a failure of the law. It was a failure of enforcement of said law. The AR-15 wielded by the man who took action to stop the Sutherland Springs shooting was legally owned and legally used to prevent further death and bloodshed. But they don't care about those facts. They care about the fact that the AR-15 is a scary-looking gun. I've personally sent people pictures of a Mini-14. Google it. Go to the Academy Sports and Outdoors store's website. Look up a Mini-14. This is what people say a hunting rifle should look like. It's not, doesn't have a rail system, doesn't have all the flashy metal and all that. It's wood stocks, wood butt. It very much looks like the classic hunting rifle. They tell me, well, yeah, that's fine. You should be able to have that. That's a hunting rifle. When I then show them video of someone standing next to a person with an AR, and the first person has a Mini-14, they fire a couple of rounds and they switch magazines and they continue to fire, they flip out saying that it's an illegally modified weapon. It's not. The only differences between a Mini-14 and an AR-15 are cosmetic, and that's it. They are the same firearm, and they look different. The AR-15, the AR in AR-15 does not stand for assault rifle. It stands for Armalite rifle. Armalite pioneered that rifle, hoping to sell it to the Army. The Army did not want a semi-automatic only firearm, so they then had their own version created by other manufacturers. Armalite decided, fine, we'll sell it to civilians. Some idiot marketer came up with a stupid term that liberals have run with for 30 plus years. There is nothing about the AR-15 that makes it an assault rifle other than a criminal using it to assault someone, which they can do with a pistol, a shotgun, a Mini-14, a rock with their hands. The simple definition of assault weapon is any item used as a weapon to assault someone. That's it. Hammer, rock, hands, belt, shirt, rope, gun, knife, car, stick, doesn't matter. If you use something as a weapon to assault someone, that is an assault weapon because it is a weapon used to assault. The reason that loudmouth liars like Shannon Watts are ignored by the vast majority of the media is because they agree with her push to disarm law-abiding citizens. Shannon, Alyssa, Chris Cillizza, Acosta, Cuomo, all of the mouthpieces for the far left's push for gun control, they have armed guards. Shannon Watts has heavily armed guards around her all the time. So does Mini Mike. Alyssa Milano famously, during the 2017 or 18, I forget, when the NRA annual meeting was in Dallas, she famously was in Dallas and lied about Dana Lash having just shown up and threatened her when Dana was across town. She, of course, ignored when Dana seconds later posted a photo of her eating dinner saying, no, I'm nowhere near you. But the entire time, Alyssa had armed guards around her. They lied about the fact that, well, the NRA is not even allowing guns. Wrong. That was on Friday. That was only in the one small area of that entire meeting center, that Donald Trump would be speaking and Mike Pence would be speaking, and that is because the Secret Service required that. And as soon as those men were gone, that was no longer in effect. All of this comes full circle. They have nothing but lies. Nothing but lies to push their agenda. You look at cities like Chicago, where more people die on a weekend than entire states in a month, because the law-abiding citizens of Chicago are disarmed. When they call police, they're asked, well, are they still in the building with you? And if you say no, we'll get there eventually. So criminals are running rampant. You look at South Central Los Angeles, where the Bloods and the Crips and the other gangs run wild. And it's because police are outgunned, because these people have illegal guns. So they don't go unless they have 2 SWAT units with them. And even then, it's a fight. It's very, very simple. And it's a very old saying. An armed society is a polite society. People say it would be the Old West with people having gunfights in the street. What they don't understand is that gunfights in the street didn't happen that often in the Old West. It's not like Shootout at the OK Corral, and it's not like Western movies. Yes, I'm sure that they did happen, where at high noon you met in the center of the town, and whoever drew faster won. But when everyone walks around with a gun, you don't run your mouth, and you don't steal, and you don't assault, and you don't break into houses. I can remember in the 1980s when we would go to visit friends, there would be gun racks in their car, in their driveway, with guns in them. I have a very good friend of mine that sadly passed away just about 15 years ago, and he went to school in the same town I grew up in for a little while. And he graduated in the early 90s. And he can remember pulling into high school parking lot with a shotgun in the gun rack of his truck, and other people had gun racks with shotguns in them because they were going to go dove hunting or duck hunting or quail hunting or whatever right after school. Nobody said a word. There's a picture that goes around social media every now and then of a student and a teacher, both armed with a long gun, sitting at the door of a school where someone had threatened the school, and they, instead of locking down and cowering under desks, they had people with guns at the doors waiting for this person to show up. It's a very simple rule. Criminals do not attack people who can defend themselves. Criminals attack the weak. They attack the disarmed. And liberals know this. Their push to ban the AR-15 will be responded to, if they ever manage to do it, with, well, it's just not working. We have to ban all rifles. Well, that didn't work. We have to ban all pistols. Well, that didn't work. We have to ban shotguns. Well, that didn't work. Let's just ban all the guns. Well, that didn't work. So now we're just going to institute a police state. And you will bow and obey us and praise us, or you'll vanish in the middle of the night. One need only look at 1939 and the beginning of Nazi Germany, or Soviet Russia, Communist China, Cuba, Venezuela, to see what a disarmed society leads to. Adolf Hitler famously murdered 6+ million people. The count for Soviet Russia is too high for me to remember. People in Venezuela are starving and eating garbage because they can't fight back against the tyrant in power because they've been disarmed. If you don't want to live as a subject, then you need to accept that the Second Amendment was not written for hunting. It was not meant for sport shooting. It was quite literally written so that the people have a right to defend themselves from a tyrannical government. And any government that says you can't own guns is a tyrannical government. All right, folks, that's all there is from me. So let me know what you think in the comments. As always, keep it civil because we don't want a screaming fit or an argument. We want a debate. As always, please remember to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you're the first to know of all new content as it is posted. Until next time, everyone have a wonderful day.